What is intermittent fasting? How do you do it? How does it increase more energy, vitality, and even how can it reverse insulin resistance? Hi everyone, I'm Allie McPhee, a women's health educator and hormone balancing chef at Modern Goddess Lifestyle. And it's my job to bring you recipes, information, and rituals to help you, goddess on the go, live a modern goddess lifestyle in your vitality in this busy world. So what is intermittent fasting? How do you do it, and who can this benefit? Intermittent fasting essentially means you are fasting intermittently. And this looks like taking about a 12 to 18 hour break from eating food. Most people will take that break anywhere from 14 to 16 hours from eating. And what this looks like is you eat your last meal, normal time for your dinner. Perhaps it's around 7, perhaps it's around 6. And then you wait about 14 hours overnight until you eat your next meal. So this can be pretty easy, right? If your last meal is at 7 p.m., you don't eat anything throughout the evening except for liquids, hot teas, water. You go to bed, and then your next meal, your breakfast, essentially, you're breaking your fast around 9 a.m. That gives you 14 hours of fasting. And what this can do, there's actually a number of things that this can do, is number one, it's going to help with digestion. Number two, it's going to help our cells become more sensitive to hormones, meaning it can reverse insulin resistance. And number three, it is going to give us more energy and more vitality, and I'm going to share why. Who could intermittent fasting benefit? So if you're somebody who has massive food cravings and you find yourself eating food all day long, snacking all throughout the day, intermittent fasting can benefit you. Also, if you are somebody who suffers from bloating, indigestion, gas, mental lethargy, weight gain, this can also benefit you. Also, if you are someone who's experiencing menstrual irregularities and symptoms like painful periods, irregular periods, migraines, as well as bloating, irritability, fatigue, food cravings, then this can support you. So let's tackle digestion first. We live in a society where our work schedules are stressful and we might be snacking throughout the day, and anytime we are snacking, we are essentially not giving our digestive system the break that it needs to completely digest the meal before and then have that time of rest before the next time we eat. What could be happening is, especially if we ate a meal prior where it was processed or we were sensitive, we had a food sensitivity to something we ate, we still might be digesting that meal, and then when we eat the snack and we're not even hungry, this puts additional stress on our digestive system, which can contribute to bloating. And anytime we feel bloated, our gut is going to directly impact our brain, and it can give us mental lethargy, it can make us tired, it can make it hard to focus. So what it does is cause us to grab another cup of coffee, an energy drink, or something sweet to give us a spike in insulin, cortisol, so we can focus. What intermittent fasting does is it can help to reset our digestion, because we're taking a period of time where we are fully breaking from food. Next, we're going to tackle hormonal sensitivity at the cell and insulin resistance. So if you are snacking frequently throughout the day, what can happen is every time you eat, as that food breaks down into glucose, our pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's job is to bind to that glucose and get it into the cell so that we can have fuel, so that we can think, move our muscles, have energy. But what happens is insulin is actually a fat storage hormone. And if we're always eating throughout the day, we are getting glucose released into our bloodstream, insulin levels stay high, they go up, and it causes our body to store more fat. Over time, what can happen is those cells become insensitive to insulin. So glucose and insulin try to get into those cells, and the cells are essentially on strike. They are insulin resistant. They are not picking up the messages of that insulin and glucose so we can have fuel. Therefore, what happens is cells become insulin resistant and blood sugar levels go up, and this can make you feel exhausted even though you're eating food, and especially high sugary foods. You can even still feel exhausted. You can feel bloated. It can lead to chronic inflammation, as well as you can experience fatigue and weight gain. When you give your body those 12 to 18 hours of rest while you're intermittent fasting, your cellular membranes can repair, and then they become more sensitive to your hormones, which hormones essentially mean the messengers, the communicators of your body. Your cells become more sensitive and receptive to the messages of insulin so that you can reverse insulin resistance at a cellular level. Also, a benefit of intermittent fasting and longer periods of fasting, where essentially you're just drinking water, is autophagy can occur. Some of these cellular membranes of the cell are too damaged, and so as the body is fasting, instead of repairing those cellular membranes, it's going to cause that cell to die. This is known as autophagy. When those cells die, that waste matter is recycled and used to create stem cells. Stem cells are these magical cells. I call them, if you've ever played the game Crazy Eights, where the 8 is the wild card. It can go on top of a 7, it can go on top of a jack. It's the card that can go anywhere. Stem cells can do that with your body. They can help to repair the heart, help to repair the brain. Stem cells are magical. So when we fast for periods of time, autophagy occurs, which means the bad cells die, and that energy can be used to make stem cells, which can help to repair the body's organs and tissues. Lastly, if you're having any menstrual health irregularities, painful PMS, or any of the symptoms I listed earlier, a lot of menstrual health irregularities are linked to insulin resistance or abnormal blood sugar levels. So intermittent fasting, as we discussed earlier, can help the cellular membranes become more sensitive to hormonal messages, as well as if your body's in a constant state of digestive stress, perhaps that you emotionally eat or eat too much and you're always feeling bloated, this leads to chronic inflammation in the body, which will trigger stress hormones, cortisol. Anytime cortisol is elevated, this again is going to affect our menstruation, because the matter that would be used to making sex hormones like balancing estrogen, progesterone, testosterone levels are always going to be stolen to make more stress hormones, cortisol, because we need cortisol levels to survive. Biologically, fertility isn't as important as if there is a real threat, a lion chasing you right in front of you. Our body needs to be able to respond to the threat that's in front of us, which means that we will always make more stress hormones if there is stress, so we can handle the stress in front of us. Fertility, digestion, these functions are not going to be as most important if there is a threat in front of us, and chronic digestion challenges, inflammation in the body can cause there to be elevated stress hormones. And one more thing I want to share with you, if you look at most of the major religions, all of them include some level of fasting, whether it's during Lent or Ramadan. And so fasting does this amazing thing where it causes you to break patterns to certain things that we are emotionally dependent on. So for me, I love chocolate, and sometimes I'll get into cycles where I'm eating too much chocolate. When I am fasting, this helps me to recognize when my chocolate cravings come up, and it helps me to slow down and tune into what is the emotion behind that craving? Why am I craving chocolate? How am I deeply feeling? And how can I soothe in a different way beyond food? It can help us break patterns with food. It can also help us go deeply within to spiritually inquire about our life and about the lessons we are learning, and how we can become mentally stronger by understanding ourselves more clearly, by tuning into our emotions and letting our emotions speak rather than using food or something else to numb it. There are some people that intermittent fasting may not be good for, so if you have a history of binge eating, bulimia, anorexia, intermittent fasting may not be good for you because it can trigger some of those emotions around food. Also, if you have a low body mass index and you already have menstrual irregularities coming from amenorrhea, which means that you don't ovulate because your body weight is too low, then intermittent fasting may cause too much weight loss. And so this may not be a ritual methodology that you want to implement. Also, if you're on certain medications or you've had challenges with your heart or your kidneys, definitely consult with your doctor before you try intermittent fasting. And my favorite thing to talk about, what do you eat to break your fast? So when you are eating in that 6 to 8 hour window, so again, let's say you break your fast, let's say you finish eating around 7 and you break your fast around 10, or you finish eating around 8 and you break your fast around 11 or 12, and you only eat within a 6 to 8 hour time frame. What you can eat is essentially what you always eat. And I'm not talking about processed foods and then eating a bunch of sugar after you've been fasting. Move towards a whole foods diet with healthy fats, clean protein, and fiber essentially from lots of vegetables. I recommend about 5 to 7 cups of vegetables daily for my clients and for myself. So what this could look like is a big salad with dark leafy greens with grilled chicken or shrimp on top, or you could do tempeh or soaked and cooked lentils. And I love to add in lots of different color vegetables. I love to eat the rainbow. You could also think about, for your brunch, making a quiche that's gluten-free, adding some avocado on top, making it with spinach, mushrooms, arugula. So delicious. So I invite you to play around with this, have fun, and the most important message is to just give your digestion a break. Even if it's 12 hours, you're doing great. I'd love to hear your comments and questions below. Did you try intermittent fasting? Do you already do it? And what did you eat to break your fast? You can also like and subscribe to Modern Goddess Lifestyle. And I can't wait to hear from you, Goddess. Bless you and your beautiful body temple. Take care.